Well, thank you very much, Guillaume. Good morning to everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to have the opportunity to lead this very interesting EURHODIP webinar, and I want to send a warm regard to all the people who have joined today to this aspect, which is very important. We are speaking all the time about cooperation. We are speaking all the time about building up a greater association, and it is absolutely crucial to have a global mind. And I think EURHODIP is a great example of it. And thank you once again, Guillaume, and the executive board, which I have the privilege to take part of it, to invite me to lead this webinar. And as you can see here, this is the title of it: Transforming Our Schools, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We are very committed here in Seville for this aspect. First of all, I would like to introduce myself quickly. Who am I? This is the question I put here. Well, my academic background and my professional background is large. I hold a bachelor's degree in Zaragoza Hotel Management School. Then I completed a Master of Business Administration by Columbus International Business School. And then I decided to study a couple of postgraduates by ESAH, which is our online hospitality school founded in 2007. And after 14 years, we have already trained over 30,000 students from 22 countries. Currently, I am the director of training of the Lezama Group, where we have 20 restaurants, 2 hotels, a large catering department, 3 hotel schools face-to-face, and 1 hospitality online school, as you can see now. And we also have a K-12 school in Madrid with 2,500 students from 0 up to 18 years old. And I have the privilege to be the director of the Seville Hospitality Management School, which is, I think, the best translation to the Escuela Superior de Hostelería de Sevilla. I'm also a member in the condition of academician for the Andalusian Academy for Gastronomy and Tourism, and AEOS, which is the National Association of the Schools of Hospitality in Spain. And my colleague Irina Naranjo, who is here with us today, she is the General Secretary of the association. Irina, you are next to me here at the office. Thank you for joining, and you are doing such a great work leading also this association. Well, this is the first question I want to share with you. What can educational institutions like ours contribute to favor social development, the economy, the environment, as well as peace and access to justice? And every day we try to make a reference in our responsibility on how we can help the community to favor these aspects. And here is the global picture for that. At least that's our thought. We are working a lot, very hard from our institution and from the Lezama Group to understand, to have a deeper understanding about the Agenda 2030 and about every single Sustainable Development Goals. As you can see, there are 17 in total, beginning from the number 1, no poverty, and finishing in the number 17, which is partnership for the goals. But I recommend you later to see in a very high detail how the Agenda 2030 is being implemented with the 169 targets that we are going to see here. It's absolutely crucial to be able to change our mentality and to be able to respond to the needs of our students in a transformation world that we are having right now. This is important also. I would like to make a reference to the acronyms and terminology. Here are the keywords to begin understanding the fascinating world of the 2030 Agenda. We start with the ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. ESDGs, Education for the SDGs. MOOC, which is the Massive Open Online Course. PRME, Principles for Responsible Management Education. SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. SDSN, Sustainable Development Solutions Network. UN, as everybody knows, United Nations. And at last, but not least, UNESCO, which is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. This is the beginning of my explanation of today. But also, and EURHODIP is a great example of this, some common university-related terms are used differently in different parts of the world. Guillaume, if I remember all right, we are over 160 universities and schools in more than 40 countries. And this is why I want to share three important aspects to make a common thing between all our differences. The first one, course, because the term course has different usages in different regions. We are now people from Spain, from Portugal, from Russia, from France, from Italy, from USA, and we will use the following terms instead. Unit, as you can see, which is a semester-long unit of studies, and program, which is a collection of units that make a degree program. The second concept is faculty, and the term faculty can mean two things. The first one is a division of the university, or the second one is an academic teaching personnel in different parts of the world. So faculty school from one hand and faculty members from another hand. And the last concept that I want to share with you today is university. And the term university has to englobe all the different kinds of institutions that we take part of EURHODIP, like higher education institutions, colleges, vocational training schools, and universities, and so on. But we are going to use the term of university today. Innovation in hospitality education. How do we understand innovation? For us, for the ESHS, the Civil Hospitality Management School, is any change based on knowledge that generates value. And I think the concept of value, change, and knowledge has to be together in order to blossom innovation. And I really love this picture that you can see here. Mr. Nelson Mandela, who was a great man and the former president of South Africa, he used to say that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. In the briefing, in the week brief that we make here in the Civil Hospitality Management School, we are saying all the time this. We have the weapon and we have the tool to change the lives people, the lives of our educational community. But we have to see also not just in a short term, but in a medium and in a long term. And that's why I want to share with you this great sentence of our friend Confucius. If your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. But pay attention to this. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. And that is why we are involved in the education of our youth in order to let them the leaders of the future. Well, after this quick introduction, I would like to say what is the 2030 agenda. Well, important, two aspects. This agenda is a plan of action for people, for planet, and prosperity. Important, remind people, planet, and prosperity. And it also seeks to strengthen universal peace in larger freedom. And we have to recognize that eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions, there are many, many different forms and dimensions, including extreme poverty, is the greatest global challenge and an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. This Agenda 2030 has been signed by all the countries and all the stakeholders. And EURHODIP is a very important stakeholder, and our universities are also important stakeholders. And I say again, acting in collaborative partnership, which is a crucial mandatory aspect to have success in this plan. Everybody has to be resolved to free the human race from the tyranny of poverty and to heal and secure our planet. Absolutely important, this aspect. And as I was saying before, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets. Let's remember again, 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets demonstrate the capacity of escalation and ambition of this universal agenda. There was a try before because they seek to build on the Millennium Development Goals and complete, not make others complete, which is an extension of what this did not achieve. So they are integrated and indivisible and balance the three dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental. I love to be very specific in my life, and as director of my school, of our school also. That's why I want to share with you here the goals and the targets. The five P's. First, people. And I say again, to end poverty and hunger in all of its forms and dimensions. Planet. We are determined to protect the planet from what? From degradation, which is including through sustainable consumption and production, sustainable managing its natural resources, and taking urgent action on climate change. Climate change. Everybody's speaking about the climate change. What can we do from our institutional educations to stop the climate change so that it can support the needs of the present and future generations? That's why we are saying all the time to think on a long term. Prosperity. I really love this word because we have to create a prosperity civilizations, a prosperity societies, and we are determined to ensure that all human beings, and we have to put the human being in the center. We have to come back to those thoughts of the past where the human being was put on the center, can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives, and that economical, social, and technological progress occurs in harmony with nature. The combination between harmony and with nature. Peace, absolutely clear. Partnership, and I say again, we are a clear example of this. I put the example of AEOS, the National Associations of Schools of Hospitality, EURHODIP, our association, and many different ways to work collaboratively in a partnership. And that's why we have to revitalize global partnership for sustainable development. Why we are in contact with the European Union, why we are in contact with another international associations, because together we are going to be able to do a greater work. And that's why we say again that the interlinkages and integrated nature of the SDGs are of crucial importance in ensuring that the purpose of the new agenda is realized. This is more specific. Education for the SDGs, which is a critical mission for universities, colleges, vocational schools, but I remember that we are going to use the concept of universities. We have a critical and unique role in helping society address the SDGs. Thank you, Guillaume, for creating this webinar, which focuses on one area where the potential contribution is particularly significant, but still largely niche, which is the development of the SDG implementers through education for the SDGs. The need to greatly expand society's capacity to solve complex challenges has never been more important or more urgent. So we are in the 2021 year, and we have just 9 years remaining to the 2030 deadline of achieving this important goal. And we have now the crisis of the COVID-19, as everybody knows. By expanding and mainstreaming SDGs as part of the higher educational experience, universities, I mean ourselves, can respond and adapt to the needs of our new normal. Important this aspect, ESDG related SDGs and targets. The following SDGs and targets recognize the importance of new knowledge and skills to achieving the targets. So there are several SDGs from the 17 in total that are very related to the education and knowledge and promotion of the better world through education. The first example, the number 4, quality education. The number 8, as you can see here, decent work and economic growth. By providing a great education in hospitality, gastronomy, tourism, and hotel management, we are able to foster a decent work and economic growth. The same with the number 12, responsible consumption and production. The Lezama Group is a great example of it because we have, as I told you before, 20 restaurants all over the world. Climate action, the number 13, of course. And the number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. The number 17, partnership for the goals. We have to work together in a very collaborative way to keep moving forward. Let me drink a bit of water. What is the role of universities and schools in delivering SDGs? The capabilities of our institutions in education, research, and innovation, as well as our contribution to civic, societal, and community level leadership are very important. Here is a great picture, and I want to go from the left to the right, beginning with the research. As you can see on the top left, research on the SDGs. In Seville, we have a team which is 100% focused on researching on the SDGs, interdisciplinary, innovations and solutions, national and local implementation. To the right, education. On the bottom left, operations and governance. And on the bottom right, external leadership. I'm going to say all the time that the leadership is absolutely mandatory. It's absolutely mandatory because by leadership, by having a strong and equal leadership, we're going to be able to move forward. The second aspect, everybody knows that the SDGs can take a wide range of forms within a university. From Seville, as you can see here, that's what we are doing. And the main aim of this is to lay out the range of possibilities for delivering SDGs at universities, to help institutions think broadly and ambitiously about how they can contribute and to enable them to identify the options and pathways that best suit their context. Every institution has its particular characteristics, and we have to have the capacity of adaptation. Have a look here at this sentence. The SDGs is a critical mission for our institutions, both because universities are in a unique position to provide this service to society, and we have to have that capacity of service to society, and because implementing SDGs can bring benefits to universities. The second aspect, I also love to have this picture, at least in our school, and Irina could share so many things about of this. As you can see, the center of the picture is the SDGs. The first one, elements, composed by knowledge, skills, and mindsets. Transformative approaches by interdisciplinary, multi-actor, action-based. Learners, which is our educational communities, composed by students, staff, professionals, community. And avenues, which are the ways to understanding the learners how to interiorize and understand in a very deep way what the SDGs are: formal, co-curricular, campus, and community. And the combination of them goes to the considerations for implementing and mainstreaming SDGs in our institutions. Second aspect, I would like to make a reference to the different distinct elements for what comes under SDGs. And this include, and this is our perspective, of course, this is the perspective that we are having in our institution in Seville. Very important, cross-cutting skills and key competencies. Cross-cutting skills and key competencies. And here are great examples like system thinking, critical thinking, self-awareness, reflection, integrated problem solving, and anticipatory, normative, strategic, collaboration competencies. Many of them, because we are not just teaching the hard skills, not at all. We are teaching the importance, the great importance of the soft skills and how to create talent for the future, how to create leaders for the future. Also, a great aspect of it is the basic cross-cutting understanding of key sustainable development issues. We have to raise awareness in our educational community from the very first beginning, from the first interviews to try the students to get into institution, the importance of the key sustainable development issues, like the challenges, the climate change, inequality, and their causes, dynamics, and interconnections. We have a great responsibility. Also, an understanding of the SDG framework and how it can be used. The profession-specific knowledge and skills, including understanding how the SDGs and global sustainable development challenges are relevant to a particular profession. In Spain, and understanding gastronomy as a whole with hospitality, hotels, tourism, agroindustry, food, this industry represents the 33% of the GPD. So we have a high responsibility as an institution which is focused on educating people who are representing that amount of the GPD in Spain. We can put a lot of examples in the world, in Portugal, as Manuela can share with us, in Russia, in France, all over the world. Mindsets and agency, and networks, absolutely. Manuela was saying to me that a couple of years ago, I had the tremendous pleasure to go to Lisbon to participate and give a little speech in the Academia de Formadores, which was a great experience to me because I really love Portugal and I admire the work that you are carrying out from Turismo de Portugal and all the institutions. I think you have around 13 or 14 schools across the country. The concept of networks, the concept of interconnections. The world is big, but at the same time is very small. Absolutely, and that is absolutely remarkable. This is a large and diverse list. Many of the cross-cutting skills and mindsets can be addressed simultaneously through transformative learning approaches. Have a look at this. This is the new normal. And we have to have the capacity to adapt our institutions to provide the best solutions to our education as community. For what? To let them adapt into a new world. And because of COVID-19, which is accelerating the trends, transforming our world. Have a look at this. Adapt. ADAPT. A, why? Asymmetry. Increasing wealth disparity and erosion of the middle class. Why D? Disruption. The pervasive nature of technology and its impact on individuals, society, and the climate. A, H. Demographic pressure on business, social institutions, and economies. The percentage of the natality in Spain is ridiculous. We were speaking this morning about a 30 years plan of the Ministry of Education, and many schools are going to disappear, and that is going to affect to our schools of hospitality and our universities, because the percentage of natality in our countries is very low. P, polarization, breakdown in global consensus and fracturing world with growing nationalisms and populisms, very dangerous. And trust, declining confidence in the institutions that underpin society. I think trust is the great word. By trust, we have to have the capacity to build up our association, our relations, our personal relations, the relation from a teacher with a student, from a hotel company like the Ritz-Carlton with our school. Trust is absolutely mandatory to keep moving forward in the better way. Transforming learning approaches. I love to make a reference to this aspect. Several. Interdisciplinary. Is crucial for teaching the SDGs for two main reasons. The SDGs cover a wide range of topics that span far beyond what is usually covered by a particular discipline or within the expertise of a particular lecturer. The SDGs also are interconnected, so that each of the goals can be influenced by the other goals, both in a good way or in a bad way. Let's work all together to be able to have the positively aspect and create great synergies. Action-based learning, great importance of this. The complexity and the multidimensionality of solving the SDG-related challenges cannot be pursued through a lecture-based approach alone. We have to work together with projects of the real-life challenges, for example, in students' lives, on campus, in the community, in local organizations, or in other contexts, can bring many benefits. Multi-actor environment, engaging actors who are involved in addressing sustainable development challenges in the real world. Have a look at this. Leaders, experts from government, civil society, private sector, community members, experts from other units, many different ways. This goes directly to our students because they are the learners. They are the learners. And I want to put an example. And here are the potential SDGs for learners at our universities and the potential avenues for reaching them. And this is like a way for allowing us to do our work in a much more efficient and effective way. The first example, traditional students. What is the avenue to reach them? Well, through the curriculum, foundation courses of massive online courses. These are concrete examples that we are doing here in our School of Seville. Clubs and societies and student-led activities, welcome and orientation activities, volunteering programs, living lab, graduate research, scholarships, hackathons and entrepreneurship initiatives, university website, signature campus facilities, university staff. We employ 800 or hopefully 880 people here in Seville. New staff orientation, professional development, sustainable programs for staff, signature campus facilities, staff engagement activities on the SDGs. The environment has to be great. The climate between workers has to be great in order to perform in a great way. Students and participants in non-degree programs. As you can see, many ways to reach them. The community at large, we are very committed with Seville, we are very committed with Andalusia, and of course, we are very committed with Spain. And our mission is to be the leading institution in hotel management and hospitality management of the whole country. And we are working hard. I have to congratulate in a public manner to the team of the Seville Hospitality Management School, because they work in a very collaborative and committed way. And we are creating impact in Seville, in Andalusia, and in Spain. And that is how we have to work all the time. And to mainstream ESDGs, universities need to scale up existing activities and implement new types of activities that go beyond business as usual. And I go back to the definition of innovation, if you remember. All change based on knowledge that generates value. Change, knowledge, and value together for what? For think outside the box. We have to forget the business as usual. We have to be able to create this new box. But we have to be able to bring ideas into actions. And there are different ways for implementing. Recognition, identifying and acknowledging what the university is already doing, opportunistic alignment, organizing principle, as I have said now. And with these levels in mind, getting started, there is a great picture: recognition, opportunities, and organizing principle. Recognition, 1 point. Map what you are already doing. That's like an audit within our institution. Opportunities, 2 points. Build capacity and ownership of the SDGs. And identify priorities, opportunities, and gaps. Altogether, priorities, opportunities, and gaps. I love to see all the time opportunities and gaps. Between it's a great chance to understand what we are not doing perfect or good, and it allows you to perform in a much professional way. And at last but not least, organizing principle with also 2 points: integrate, implement, and embed the SDGs, and monitor, evaluate, and communicate. Without data, and I say again, without data, I am someone else with my own opinion. That's why we have to get data to take great decisions. Here, concreting, map what you are already doing, what is already being done, who is working on it, units, professors, departments, research groups, educational innovation groups, student groups, and results. What elements of ESDGs: general knowledge, profession-specific knowledge, and transformative learning. Key resources and experts on specific SDGs. Not all the institutions have the same tools, and we have to be honest on this aspect. And SDG champions and allies among students. We have to integrate all the time students, because they are going to be the examples for the new students coming every year, clubs and societies. And the level of sustainability, literacy, and awareness. That is the step 1. Map what you are already doing. Step 2, when we have cleared the step 1, we have to build capacity and ownership for the ESDGs. Successfully expanding and deepening ESDGs requires support, thank you, Irina, collaboration and involvement from a wide range of internal and external university stakeholders. We have to identify in a very accurate way who are the internal and external university stakeholders and to be very close to them. These include obvious groups, such as university and faculty school leaders, who are needed to provide high-level institutional support and mandate on ESDGs. Absolutely important. Building ownership for a complex agenda such as ESDGs can be challenging. I'm going to be very honest. It's absolutely challenging. And it's not a battle for a year. It's a battle for every single day, often because awareness and our capacity to take action are low. So we are not speaking about changing our facilities. We are speaking about changing the mentality of the people and create a new culture for our people. And that's a high challenge. Step 3, identify priorities, opportunities, and gaps. The mapping done in the step 1 can be the basis for each university to identify the main gaps between its current situation and what it wishes to aim for. And we have to involve as many people as possible to get a better position for this. Pointing out the gap between what is mapped and what should be done according to the SDGs. Absolutely crucial, this aspect. Pointing out the gap between what is mapped and what should be done according. It is going to provide you a great map of your current situation of today. Step 4, integrate, implement, and embed the SDGs. Many pathways, and we are different, although at the same time we are quite similar. But the Civil Hospitality Management School is different from the Escuelas de Turismo de Portugal. Not better or worse, different. We are in the same page because we are training the future of the hospitality industry, but we have to support each one. But every institution has to be able to adapt to its reality and to its circumstances. And the last, but not least, absolutely important, because I say again, without data, I am someone else without my own opinion. We have to monitor, evaluate, and communicate. Reporting on progress in implementing the SDG-related actions is an important part of tracking progress and supporting accountability in implementation. As I have just said, there is no globally agreed standard for how universities should measure and report on their progress. We have to be able to recognize the contribution and the specific and the individual characteristics of our universities. Q&A, all the time, Q&A, question and answer, question and answer, question and answer. I can start by implementing in a concrete way, but if tomorrow I mention that could be done in a different way, we are going to change. We have the possibility to change. Q&A, please keep in mind that aspect. This is very graphic. How different university stakeholders can contribute to accelerating education for the SDGs. Stakeholders, university leadership. And we are directors, or at least I am the director of this institution. That's my responsibility. These points. Make a university level commitment, mandate and resource and strategic process, recognize and promote what the university is already doing, create incentives for all the stakeholders to act, and measure how the university is progressing on delivering ESDGs. Learning, teaching, leadership, and support services for the university as a whole, and at the faculty school level. I have here, or we have here, 45 different teachers, and they have to provide training, resources, and incentives, including SDG skills, and break down silos between departments, fostering and incentivizing multidisciplinary collaboration. I don't want to allow to work teachers in an isolated way. They have to work collaboratively, and we work a lot with the OECD, which is the Organization for Education and Collaboration, and there is a Director for Education and Skills, whose name is Andreas Slaker, which is the Director for Education and Skills, and he is always saying in the reports they carry out that teachers have to work in a collaborative way. Teaching staff, including lecturers, unit program coordinators, curriculum, and developers. You see here the different ways of doing that. EA as the expert. We took the decision in Seville of hiring one people to be the responsible for the implementation of the ESD. Crucial her activity in order to change the mentality of the people. We have a person who is dedicated 100% of her time to do these points. Across university sustainability, sustainable development centers, many different ways. Student support services, university operations, student engagement units. How? By mapping a co-curricular, student-led, and other university activities relating to ESDGs. Integrate elements of the ESDGs into existing co-curricular initiatives and develop new activities that help students develop and understand. I am going to add this word, understanding the ESDGs knowledge, skills, and mindsets, and develop also an SDG-related experience roadmap for every student during his or her stay in campus, because we are trying to get the personalization of the learning and teaching process. And education is going to be, because if not, it is not going to be personalized. Students, they are the protagonists of the educational process. And governments and policymakers. As I was saying before, we have to have great relationship with the local community and with the institutional representatives, parliaments, members of the parliament, so on and so on. University networks and associations. Guillaume, thank you for your great work. EURHODIP is a great example of it. Professional associations, educational quality, assurance organizations, and university reporting schemes. And the last, industry, government, and civil society partners and donors, if they are acting in every single university and association. Pay attention to this. Two-way blockers in the internal behavior. On the left, from the top, university leadership, strategic plans or agreements, and curricula development. And who is located in the down part? Students, faculty, university staff, and society. Who are the blockers? You see them here. What are they doing? Well, they are impeding success of top-down initiatives. How? Lack of engagement from the broader university community. Resistance to change. Everybody knows and everybody has this in the respective institutions. Resistance to change. That's why I'm saying all the time that we have not to change our facilities. We have to change the mentality of our people. I always say also that we are capitalists, right? But capitalists of the human capital. And we have to put the human in the center. Lack of legitimacy, resistance to authority, inadequate communication, cultural aspects, ego systems. Wow, it is absolutely danger, the ego. Let's forget the ego. So we are not anymore in vertical organizations. We are in horizontal organizations. Lack of institutional support, rigidity. We have to be very flexible. We have to avoid rigidity and inadequate accountability. It happens the same on the right part, but in this case, from the bottom up. From the bottom, there are multiple initiatives that are disconnected amongst themselves and to the university as a whole. Why is it not working in the right way? Because we have also blockers which are impeding success and transformative impact of bottom-up initiatives. How? Lack of resources, no systemic thinking, marginality vocation, lack of hope in systemic change. Pay attention to this. Lack of hope. So we have to give hope to our people. Risk aversion, but nothing grows up in the comfort zone, as you know. The garden grows up outside the comfort zone. Ecosystems, again, control addition power. They have all the freedom. And that's my style of leadership. If Irina wants to take off day, Irina goes to your house, to your home, or do whatever you want to do, because we go back to the need of having trust between people. Bureaucracy, lack of appropriate spaces, career development incentives. What is the solution for this? In the middle, you have the answer: creating an intermediate structure or tissue to regenerate these relations and foster change. I say again, foster change in a collaborative manner. The words are very easy, but we have to bring ideas into action, and we have to have the responsibility to succeed in this enterprise. This is great. Sampling of 10 smart and sustainable initiatives as a means of embracing and embedding culture of sustainability in the campus community. We have this in our school in Seville. To relate images with sentences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, not 10, 8. But you have here 8 examples. Paperless event registration, APP. Paperless marketing, FB vendors say no to plastic, FB vendors say no to straws. You have here a great example of this. And the image is so important. The image is so important because it changes the mentality of the people, not just the words, not just the sentences, educating with images. Another example, pathway to accelerating achievement of the SDGs. First, mobilization by setting direction, by shaping the tone. Setting direction by shaping the tone from the leadership and also from this structure in the middle position and also from the bottom position. Integration, focus on core functions, enabling a transdisciplinary approach and innovation for next generation practices. Leverage, engagement, establishing platform, strategic initiatives, partnering and influencing, and also lobby, to do lobby in an internal and in external way. I love this sentence, absolutely, Epicurus. We are all working in gastronomy schools, hotel schools, and I try to do this in my daily routine, because as you can see, it's impossible to live a pleasant life without living wisely and well and justly. And it is impossible to live wisely and well and justly without living a pleasant life. We have the privilege to work in the educational sector. We have the privilege and the responsibility to provide the best of ourselves to the future of the people, to the future leaders of the world, not just our gastronomy sector, our hotel industry, our hospitality companies. We have to create leaders, the leaders of the future, and they have to hold several concepts like integrity, honesty, and that's the stuff leaders should be made of. Let's embrace them to create a greater future, and let's try to do our best in order to create greater institutions like ours. Thank you very much for your attention. I try to give a global perspective of what we are doing in Seville, and we remain at your complete disposal if you want to get more information, if you want to give a forward step in order to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, to have a deeper understanding of the Agenda 2030. But I highly recommend you to all the institutions to give this step, because it is going to be very rewarding, and it is going to be a great challenge to be and to become better professionals and better persons. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Iñaki, for such a professional presentation. Thank you very, very much. So perhaps, is there any question or any comment from the assistant?
Irina, you want to speak in English?
So yeah, it seems that you just liked it. Manuela, perhaps any comments? Yeah, just exactly, unmute.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for this great presentation. It was really well, 360 approach of how to think about and implement the sustainability in our schools. And you gave us such a good example that with a very systematized way of doing it. And I was thinking while I was listening to you, because we are working in 2030 agenda. 2030 is in about 9 years. What do you think it will happen after? Well, because what do you think it will happen until then in order to change after this this target of 2030? Because actually, I wonder a lot of times, can we achieve all these goals? Can we at least make the world better until then and after? Because when we think about education, 9 years is not such a long time. So yeah, well, I believe it was a little mixed, my question, but if I can elaborate if you need it.
Well, Manuela, thank you very much for being here. First of all, thank you for your words regarding my presentation. That's a great question. I have to admit it. I have to admit it. But at the same time, it's a very difficult question to answer. Concerning our institution, we are giving great steps ahead because the people who are working here are amazing. But we are just a little part into the map of our country. The important thing is to be able to work collaboratively with the politician. But it's sadly to say that the politicians are living in another world, because I think they are not able to understand the right and the perfect necessities of the people, especially in Spain. So we have a lot of problems, and we have the commitment, and we are trying to change society by every single action of our institution. And we try to raise awareness in the civil society, in la sociedad civil, as we say in Spanish, in the civil society, on how we have to work together in order to change the world. Because the world has to be sustainable. If not, it is not going to exist. And I have to be very sorry by saying this. We will exist also, but we will see in the future what kind of society we are building up. And with my little responsibility, I want to create a better society for my kids in the future, for my children in the future, or for my grandkids in the future. And there are many things which are involved in this aspect: education, climate change, companies, sustainability, elderly people, equality agenda, gender agenda, so many things. I have 200% of trust in our institution. I don't trust, to tell the truth, in how the politicians, at least in Spain, are doing in implementing these aspects. And 9 years are remaining, and time flies absolutely fast. And there are a lot of problems, and sometimes they are not focusing on implementing these aspects. But the Sustainable Development Goals are the extension of the Millennial Development Goals, which I don't want to say that they failed, because they didn't fail, but they didn't complete its main goals. Hopefully, there will be an extension. Of the SDGs in the future. But I am a doer, and we have to be doers. I love to be thinkers, but we have to be, as individuals and institutions, doers to provide our little thing to the society. That's my thought. But I am thinking all the time. Here, I have a book which I recommend it very much: Innovation in Hospitality education, which is providing great keys for the future of our institutions. But I am very worried about. I am 37 years old, and I imagine how the world is going to be in 20 years' time, how the artificial intelligence, how the technology is going to change the world, how we are going to have the capacity to adapt our institutions to offer the best, how it's going to change the hospitality field, how it's going to change so many things. And we have to understand the past to live the present, to understand the future. That's a great combination, not easy to do, but we have a high responsibility on that aspect.
Well, thank you for the great, well, I wouldn't say answer, but reflection about all that.
Thank you, Manuela.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
me
very
too.
much.
I like
What
to
do you
consider,
think?
I like to consider myself a doer as well, as you say. And I'm a believer too. And I believe that we will get in the right path through to sustainability, because this is not an utopia anymore or an idea, or no, this is just like a business model for humanity.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Exactly.
That brings to prosperity, the word that you said that you like a lot, and I like it too. Thank you.
Exactly. Thanks to you, Manuela, for listening to me.
Thank you very much. So if there isn't any other comment, thank you everybody for joining us today. I will send to all the members and all the people who registered the link to the video. Okay, so will you be able to watch it and share with your colleagues? So no problem. Okay, so thank you once more. Thank you very much to Iñaki.
Thank you.